The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Explanation of lines 1 to 40. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner is the longest major poem by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. It was published in 1798 in the first edition of the Lyrical Ballads. The poem relates the experiences of a sailor who has returned from a long sea voyage. He stops a man who is on his way to a wedding ceremony and begins narrating his story. The wedding guest's reaction turns from bemusement to impatience, to fear, to fascination as the mariner's story progresses. Line-wise analysis. Part 1. It is an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of three. Ancient means very old. A mariner is a sailor, and stoppeth means stopped. This poem is about the tale of an ancient mariner, means the story of a very old sailor. He stopped one of the three guests who were going for a wedding. He wants to share his experience of a long voyage with the wedding guest. By thy long beard and glittering eye, now wherefore stoppest thou me? Thy means your, glittering is shining. Wherefore means why or for what reason, and thou means you. The wedding guest was attracted by the mariner's long beard and glittering eyes. These physical features are very striking and charismatic. However, he does not like to be stopped and asks the mariner why he was holding on to him. The bridegroom's doors are opened wide, and I am next of kin. Kin means relative. The wedding guest was in a hurry to go inside, as the doors of the bridegroom's house were open, and he was a close relative. The guests are met, the feast is set. Mayest hear the merry din. Merry din means the noise of celebration and festivities. The guests have arrived and the food is laid. The sound of merry-making and festivities could be heard. He is eager to join the wedding party. He holds him with his skinny hand. There was a ship, quoth he. Skinny means slim or bony. Quoth means said. The mariner held the wedding guest with his skinny hand and started narrating his story. Abruptly, there was a ship, said he. The mariner wants to hold the guest and relate his tale of misery. Hold off, unhand me, greybeard loon. Eftsoons his hand dropped he. Unhand means leave, release from the hand, to let go. A loon is a crazy person, a lunatic. Eftsoons means immediately or at once. Dropped means dropped. The wedding guest is reluctant to stay and asks the mariner to remove his hand and release him. He refers to the mariner as a grey-bearded, crazy lunatic. Soon after that, the mariner dropped his hand and released the wedding guest from his grasp. He holds him with his glittering eye. The wedding guest stood still. Glittering means sparkling or shining. Although the mariner is unable to get hold of the young man by using the force of his frail hands, he is able to hold his attention due to the glitter in his eyes. The wedding guest is probably enchanted and mesmerized by his gaze, so he stood still without moving and listens like a 3 year child. The mariner hath his will. Will means wish or desire. The wedding guest prefers to listen to the mariner rather than attending the wedding. He listens to the story like a 3-year-old child. The mariner's desire of telling his story is fulfilled. The poetic device used in the line, like a 3 year child, is a simile. The wedding guest sat on a stone. He cannot choose but hear. The wedding guest sat down on a stone. He doesn't have any other choice but to hear to the mariner's story. And thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. Spake means spoke. The bright-eyed mariner started telling his story. The ship was cheered, the harbour cleared. Merrily did we drop. Merrily means happily. Did we drop means seem to be going down due to the curvature of the earth. When the mariner's ship was ready to set sail, it was given a warm farewell. It ceased to be visible from the shore and seemed to be sailing down because of the curvature of the earth. Below the kirk, below the hill, below the lighthouse top. Kirk means church. As the ship sailed further from the shore, first the church, then the hill, then the highest point of the lighthouse fell out of sight. The sun came up upon the left. Out of the sea came he. The ship was sailing towards the south, so the sun rose from the left side. It appeared to be rising from the sea. Poetic device used here is personification. The sun has been personified as a human being. And he shone bright, and on the right went down into the sea. Wend means went. The sun shone brightly and set on the right, going down into the sea. Higher and higher every day, till over the mast at noon. Every day the sun rose higher and higher, and it reached the height of the mast every afternoon. The wedding guest here beat his breast, for he heard the loud bassoon. Bassoon, a musical instrument. Beat his breast means got restless, displayed grief and remorse loudly. At this point, the mariner's story was interrupted by the loud music from the bridegroom's house. The musical instruments suggest the festivities in the bridegroom's house. The sound distracts the wedding guest and he starts getting restless to leave for the ceremony. The bride hath paced into the hall, red as a rose is she. The loud music is the indication of the arrival of the bride. She enters looking beautiful, like a rose. The poetic device used here is a simile. Red as a rose is she. Nodding their heads before her goes the merry minstrelsy. She is followed by a band of singers and musicians who are nodding their heads as they pass by. The wedding guest, he beat his breast, yet he cannot choose but hear. The wedding guest does not like missing all these festivities, but he is still under the spell of the mariner. He is forced to hear the tale. And thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. The mariner continues narrating his tale and succeeds in detaining him. His eyes are very bright and captivating. There is a deliberate contrast between the bright lights of the wedding ceremony and the dark tale of the mariner. And now the storm blast came, and he was tyrannous and strong. Tyrannous means despotic, oppressive, or cruel. A very fierce storm lashed the ship with force. It was very cruel and strong. Poetic device used, personification. The storm blast is personified as a tyrannous bird. He struck with his overtaking wings and chased us south along. The storm struck as if it had wings and had overtaken the ship with force. It had a great devastating power and it drove the ship to the south. The storm has been personified as a bird with powerful wings that create a horrifying effect. With sloping masts and dipping prow, as who pursued with yell and blow. The masts of the ship were bent and its prow dipped into the sea. The ship, nevertheless, continued to move ahead, yelling and shouting. Still treads the shadow of his foe and forward bends his head. Treads means walks. The ship appeared to be like a person running with his head bent before an enemy, chasing him closely and shouting at him. It continued to move ahead as if it was trying to chase the shadow of its enemy. These lines refer to the ferocity of the storm which pursued the captain and his men on the ship. The ship drove fast, loud roared the blast, and southward aye we fled. The ship was sailing southwards at a great speed. The storm was making loud and roaring sounds. And now there came both mist and snow, and it grew wondrous cold. Finally, the ship was able to escape the storm. Soon after, they reached the region of mists and snow. It became intensely cold, and ice mast high came floating by, as green as emerald. In this cold region, icebergs as high as the mast could be seen. The green color of the sea could be seen reflected by the icebergs. Poetic device, simile, as green as emerald. And through the drifts, the snowy cliffs did send a dismal sheen. It was very dangerous because huge icebergs floated from near the ship. Visibility was very poor, which made it very difficult to navigate the ship. Poetic device, oxymoron, in dismal sheen. Dismal means gloomy and bleak. Sheen means shining or radiant, and they are opposites. Nor shapes of men, nor beasts we ken, the ice was all between. This place was totally deserted, and neither men nor animals could be seen. Only ice could be seen all around. The ice was here, the ice was there, the ice was all around. The mariner and other shipmates were surrounded by ice on all sides. Poetic device, repetition, is used here to emphasize the quantity of ice all around. Imagery has also been used in these lines as it creates an image of ice being all around. It cracked and growled and roared and howled like noises in a swound. The ice made strange sounds like that of growling, cracking, roaring, and howling. The poetic device used is onomatopoeia. The breaking, sliding, falling of huge chunks of ice add to the musicality of the poem. At length did cross an albatross, through the fog it came. At last an albatross appeared through the fog. As if it had been a Christian soul, we hailed it in God's name. The entire crew welcomed it as if it were a Christian soul, a blessing in disguise. The coming of the albatross lifted the spirits of the crew. His coming out of the fog signifies hope from despair. It ate the food it never had eat, and round it flew. The albatross enjoyed the food given by the sailors, which they carried along with them to eat during their voyage. The albatross found it new and different because it had never eaten such food earlier. Helmsman is a member of the ship's crew who is responsible for steering. The ice of the ocean split up with a thunderous sound as the helmsman steered the ship onwards. And a good south wind sprung up behind. The albatross did follow. They were lucky because south wind started blowing, which was favorable for them. The albatross followed the ship. And every day, for food or play, came to the mariner's hollow. Hollow means call. The albatross would appear whenever the sailors called him. He ate the food that they offered and also played with him. In mist or cloud, on mast or shroud, it perched for vespers 9. The albatross would sit on the masts or sails. It perched there for 9 more days while the mariner and other sailors continued sailing. Whiles all the night through fog smoke white glimmered the white moonshine. The white moonlight shone through fog smoke all the night. God save the ancient mariner from the fiends that plagued thee thus. The wedding guests prayed that God have mercy on the mariner and save him from problems that trouble him. Why lookest thou so? With my crossbow I shot the albatross. At this juncture, the mariner looked fearful and guilty. The wedding guest asked him why he looked troubled. The mariner explained that one day he shot the albatross with his crossbow. If you like this video lesson, please like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel.